Hi, this is another Australia and in particular Sydney economics/real estate update, because I've done quite a few videos on this over the years. The cheapest house in Sydney. I have to redo that one for this year actually, because house prices are insane in this country. Australia is infamously one of the most expensive countries in the world, and most of our major capital cities, Sydney and Melbourne in particular, are like in the top 10 of least affordable cities in the world. Nuts. But anyway, I did an interesting video. It's 3 years ago now. Geez, it seems like only 12 months ago. Can you actually afford to live in Sydney as an Amazon picker, working as a picker at the local Amazon warehouse? And I was surprised to find out, yeah, you actually could. You could actually be a single person. You could rent your own place, quite a reasonably nice place here in Sydney, in a nice part of Sydney, working as just a picker at the local Amazon factory. I thought that was rather remarkable. Now, the reason I remembered this video is because Oz Integrity here on X, so this is in response to an X post, posted this from Channel 10 News.
The average Australian needs to earn $130,000 annually to afford rent without any financial strain. That's all according to a brand new report.
So a new report, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of who did the report or where it comes from or whatever, but this is what's being reported, okay? You need to make $130,000 per year. As Oz Integrity points out, that is gross, and we'll go into that. And as in a gross figure, and it's not gross disgusting, but yes, it is gross disgusting if you have to earn that sort of money in order just to live, actually just survive and rent a place here in Australia. And we'll use Sydney as one of the most, pretty much the most expensive city here. And can you do that without rental stress or rental strain? So immigration and excise policies of Labor are driving up costs on a daily basis. Now, the absolute biggest political thing in Australia at the moment is housing unaffordability, basically. That includes like houses to buy and also rental properties to rent. Rents have been going through the roof. And although the government try not to admit it, that it's due to an unsustainable immigration here into Australia. We're letting in like net 400 to 500,000 people per year, and so many students as well. I think it's 170,000. I'll try and get the stat. Like the number of students that come into Australia to study and they need a place to live is just absolutely ridiculous. We can't keep doing this, but they refuse to admit it's a problem with unsustainable immigration and student visas as well. But anyway, let's not go into that. So anyway, that sounded a bit odd to me. 130K is still reasonably high. So I replied, I know that everything is ridiculously expensive now. 130K just to afford rent doesn't sound right. I did a video 3 years ago. As I said, Oz Integrity replied here, you'd be surprised how far our buying power has dropped. Yes, I know. Inflation is bad. Tell me about it. Definitely worth running the numbers again. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to run the numbers again. Does it actually work out? Is this report accurate or not? Rent without financial stress is generally accepted to be around 25%. I asked Grok, and he gave me various references that seemed legit. That gave me government links, another reputable industry thing that said that mortgage stress is defined around about 30% of your gross income. And he says that the 130K from this report is gross. And look at this change in living standards. Australia. Right down here, -8%. I don't know where does this OECD database, household indicators. I don't doubt this at all. Australia is going down the toilet. We have like 3, 4 in the top 15 of the most livable cities in the world. And well, we used to. Now, yeah, the cost of living is just crazy here. So yeah, we stand out like a dog's hind leg, don't we? Anyway, let's take a look at it. So Oz Integrity, note post-tax and super income in the bank, whereas 130K is gross, okay? So we're going to take that into account. So let's go over to an income tax calculator here. This is the government website. If it's $130,000 per year, you just divide that by 1.12. It's actually 11.5% superannuation at the moment. For those who Yanks out there who might be watching, probably similar to like the 401k. Here we have compulsory superannuation. So anyone that hires you, any company that hires you, even if you have to hire, even if you hire yourself like I do, the company has to pay your superannuation, a superannuation guarantee. So they have to pay 11.5% of your salary at the moment. It's going up to 12% this year, I believe. So I'm going to use a 12% figure. So 12% of your salary must go into a superannuation scheme, which you cannot touch until you're a retirement age, 65 or whatever it is. Yeah, the government's trying to now rort that by saying, oh, we can fix the housing affordability crisis by letting people tap into their superannuation. Oh, it's like, God, unbelievably stupid. But that's our government. And our opposition governments know better. They're both just two sides of the same dickhead coin. So usually your superannuation, they will pay on top of your salary, but that's negotiated. When you go in to get your job, they might try to make it sound better than it is by going, oh, we're going to pay you $130,000 a year, but sorry, that includes super. So yeah, so we're going to assume it includes superannuation here. Okay, so 130,000 divided by 1.12, so 12% superannuation. So that leaves $116,071 as your annual salary there. That's your taxable income, because you're not taxed on the super component. That's taxed separately at a different superannuation rate. I think it's about 15% or something. So the income tax payable on that is $25,609. For those who don't know how taxation works in Australia here, where it's based on a tax bracket. So the first 18,000 you pay nothing, and then from 18 to 45k you pay 16% tax. From 45 to 135, which is what we'd be on here, we're at the 30% tax bracket here. But Australia is one of the most highest taxed countries in the world, because you only have to earn 190,000 a year, which, you know, if you've got a high-end job, you could well be earning over that. You're in the 45% tax bracket. Insane. And then these do not include the Medicare levy of 2%. That's our Medicare is our universal healthcare here in Australia. We do get it quite cheap. So there you go. So minus the Medicare levy here, income tax after, whereas $88,141 from your $130,000, including super salary. We'll just go to another calculator here. I don't know, paycalculator.com.au. It's going to give us similar $88,495 here, and it breaks that down. So yeah, you're on basically $88,000 a year if you're on 130,000 gross. Now, as for this rental stress, I'll take that 30% figure, which is what I got. Oz Integrity said 25. I'm going to take it as 30. I think that sounds a bit more, a bit better. 25% sounds a bit low. So 30% of $116,000 is $34,821 a year, or divide that by 52 weeks in a year, $669. So $669 a week towards rent. So before, you would deem to be in mortgage stress, and this is for a single person just on their own. They've got no HECS debt, which is like a university educational debt, or any other debt like that. So let's go and take a look what we can find for $669 a week. So let's go to the domain website. I can't enter an exact figure here. That's kind of annoying. So I'll go under $650 a week, shall we? And let's see what we can find. I'm going to go to my local area. Well, I'm in Borkham Hills at the moment. In my previous video here, I actually did based on Bella Vista Norwest Business Park area, where that Amazon warehouse was here. But let's just go around here, and these green dots will show you where you can afford here's Sydney right here. Here's the city. Here's the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge for you Yanks. It joins Australia and New Zealand here. And Borkham Hills is out here. Okay, so we're looking out here. All these dots come in. So yeah, we can afford quite a few places. Okay, here's a nice, first cab off the rank. Looks like we've got a granny flat here for $510 a week. That's nowhere near our $669 So it's a 2-bedroom place. It looks like, it's it's just out somebody's backyard here. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. So let's actually limit that to various types of a house. So this is not like an apartment in a big apartment block, which is what's going up here in Norwest Business Park. It's just nuts. Oh, that one's old. $580 a week at Laylaw Park there. Yeah, old Fibro place. But you know, Carlingford. Okay, so we get into, and you can see that most of these are out in the western suburbs in the cheaper parts of Sydney, but there doesn't look to be any shortage whatsoever. You know, you get more upmarket where I am in Borkham Hills, Norwest, Bella Vista's really exclusive, Castle Hill over here, right? Really, really nice sort of northwestern Sydney kind of places. But you can still get, you know, look, you can get one at North Epping here. What do we got at North Epping? 610 for a little two-bedder like place on its own. You got a little fire pit. Look at that. That's nice. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. No, it's just off here. Is it near a metro station? But look, you can easily, like, we're well under. Even if we took Oz Integrity's figure of 25% before you go into mortgage stress, that's $29,000 a year divided by 52 weeks. That's still $550. Okay, so we're a little bit over that. Okay, so we're looking at 550, but there'd be no shortage of apartments, for example, right? We're only looking at houses. If we actually go to apartment here, right at Norwest, like I said, right, this is Norwest Business Park. Can we get an apartment for under $650? These are all the new apartments that are going up. There you go, 550, 120, 27 square meters. That's actually a reasonably sized apartment. 550. Okay, so these look to be, this is in Norwest, right? So you can get, there's lots of jobs at Norwest. It's one of the biggest business parks in Sydney. That's where I am. That's where my office is at the moment. So you can live inside one of these apartments. These are all new. These are going up like crazy. Norwest Business Park, because of all the immigration, they have to build these gigantic, this is a small one. They have to build gigantic apartments. But yeah, this is a nice new modern apartment. And down around Parramatta here, Parramatta is the second business hub in Sydney, apart from the Sydney Central Business District, which is where the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge is. Parramatta is the next big hub out here, and there's no shortage of apartments in Parramatta for under 650. Let's drop that back to 550, shall we? So that'll be like that 25% figure that we had before. Yeah, there's no shortage of places. So if you live and work in Parramatta, you can live and work in Parramatta for $550 a week. You're not under rental stress. And if you want to go into the Sydney CBD, here's the Opera House here. Here's the Harbour Bridge linking Australia to New Zealand over here. And look, there's no shortage of apartments for under $550. Everything's weekly here. There's no such thing as a monthly rental thing. All prices in here are all in weekly things. So you can get a one bedder. Can you get a two bedder? Can you get a two bedder? Let's apply 2+ bedder. No, you're slim pickings for your two. Oh, you can go down here, right? Canterbury, Campsie. So unless you live or work there, there's no real appeal to do that. But once again, Parramatta, yes, North Parramatta here, you can get a 2-bedroom apartment for, even $460. That's in a day. You're looking $550, right? So like little, if you don't like being in the high-rise thing, right? Here's a very, it's a bit oldish, but no, it's okay, right? So there's a 2-bedder apartment. There's no shortage. So $130K a year doesn't seem to put you under that stress. You can actually get that, but let's drop this down, right? Because you are not going to get, like, $130K a year is actually quite a large salary. It's still quite a large salary. Let's go into jobs over here, and I've just selected some jobs in 50 kilometers of Borkham Hills here, 17,000 jobs, and go down here, something like an Australian Federal Police. A federal police officer is only $75,000 to $85,000 per year. Nuts. An undergraduate in cybersecurity analysis, $81,000 a year. A graphic designer pays better than the police force at $97,000 to $107,000, but we're still not up to our $130,000, or that $116,000, excluding super. A child protection caseworker does almost get there if you're in the topper echelon of your child welfare stuff. But, you know, a research scientist, you know, yeah, okay, you might be able to get your 120k a year, but, you know, you've got to be well experienced. So, yeah, 130k a year is still a lot. And that's the problem. Even if you're one of those HR droids, you're, you know, 95 to 100k. Ooh, a wholesale manager, there you go. You can get your $130,000 a year. But if you're just a human resources office administrator, like a typical admin job, 65 to 80,000 a year plus super. So, you know, like, yeah, $130,000 a year is still a pretty high-end job. Digital specialist for the New South Wales government. You work on the government coin there, you're getting paid okay. Once again, a sort of like a secretary job, medical administrator job, 75 to 85 $1,000 a year. So let's get the confuser out. Do they say we're able to get $85,000 a year? We'll do the 30% mortgage stress. That's $25,500 a year to spend on rent before you're in mortgage stress. Divided by 52 weeks, that's 490. Right, so 490. So really we have to go here and go anywhere from, you know, 300. You're going to get a real dump for 300. But let's, you know, we're going down to 500 here. Okay, so what can you get for 500? You can still get some in North Parramatta. Okay, look, you can get a 2-bedroom apartment in North Parramatta there. Let's check that out. That looks like, it's daggy on the outside, but it's pretty decent on the inside, isn't it? Yeah, it's daggy, but that's quite decent. A 2-bedroom apartment. So yeah, you can, like, for $85,000 a year income, you can afford a nice 2-bedroom apartment. Nice and okay-ish 2-bedroom apartment in North Parramatta there for rent. How much that leaves you over for a deposit on a house for savings? Well, depends on how frugal you are. You know, do you buy all those cafe lattes and the smashed avo on toast? Everyone knows what I'm talking. All Australians know what I'm talking about. They get that reference. To $410 in Parramatta. That's going to be like a daggy. That's going to be a daggy old apartment. Daggy old 1-bedroom apartment in Parramatta. But if you're looking to save some cash, then, you know, yeah, you can do it. Harris Park here, 470, right? So if you're working in Parramatta, like, you can actually get, you know, yeah, you can, you don't need your $130,000 a year to live without your mortgage stress. You can do it on 80 to 85,000 a year, and they'll just get cheaper. Like if you go out in the western suburbs here, like if you go out to Blacktown, for example, like real working class stuff, oh geez, you're still 450, 500 in a nicer one, or 550 at Blacktown. Geez, now we're getting in the poorer western suburbs where I grew up. Yeah, let's go Mount Druitt, shall we? 430 a week. I've done videos on Mount Druitt before. 420 on Luxford Road in Mount Druitt. Is there anything in the Sydney CBD for that? There's the Opera House. Here's the Harbour Bridge, which links Sydney to New Zealand over here. Can we get something on Potts Point? Pretty fancy. You can get a 1-bedroom apartment in Woolloomooloo for $480. Really? It's a box. Is there anything more than that? It's you get a pool, so you can, like, if you work in the city, you can for under $500 you can get Woolloomooloo there, $485, like right in the middle of the city here. $380 for a one, if you're really saving cash, for a 1-bedder studio there. So yeah, it's doable. You can live in, like, the center of the Sydney Central Business District here and earn $70,000, $80,000 a year, and you can afford rent without being in stress. You can afford rent on your own without being in stress. But of course, you're always going to pay more when you're by yourself. So partner up. Pro tip. So yeah, I'm going to have to say that this is probably, there's a fair bit of bullshit in this $130,000 figure. It's just designed to absolutely scare the crap out of people. Doesn't mean there isn't a rental crisis here in Australia. There bloody well is. Not to mention the ridiculous housing affordability crisis, as in if you want to actually buy a house. A house these days is like a bloody apartment. So yeah, it's not as scary as it, as it makes out. Sydney is like practically the most expensive place. There might be other pockets that are more expensive, etc. in, some Melbourne pockets and stuff like that. And there are pockets of Sydney that you won't be able to live in, of course. In fact, there's large swaths of Sydney you won't be able to live in. But, like most of the jobs in Sydney are probably, CBD kind of stuff. If you're young and single, maybe out at Parramatta. A lot of the government departments are moving out to Parramatta and stuff. So, yeah, they're the two main centres in Sydney. But there are other jobs scattered around the suburbs and things. But no, you can still afford to rent in Sydney without stress, without rental stress, on probably 75, 80 grand a year. So I'm not buying the 130. I don't know where they're getting that figure from. Some ridiculous, they used average instead of mean. Done a video on that. And if you're interested in all this sort of Australian housing unaffordability stuff, I highly recommend checking out Biko Konstantinos's channel here, because he covers this. That's pretty much all he's doing these days, and he's doing a great job doing this. And this video here, he goes through an explainer for how this guy here made a big splash recently. It's gotten millions of views and everything. Everyone's talking about it. It's going nuts. How he can't afford to rent a place with his young family, because the rents are just going through the roof because of all the ridiculous, unsustainable immigration, which they refuse to cut, and all the students that come in here in their hundreds of thousands, and just sucking up all these rentals, driving prices up and everything. Anyway, highly recommend Biko's channel. Check it out. Anyway, so yeah, there's a bit of bullshit there, but no, we do have serious problems here. But yeah, don't believe the news. Don't believe mainstream media, what they tell you in these bloody reports. You can massage your data to give you any result that you desire. So yeah. But mortgage stress is very real here. I don't want to downplay it. I just want to check those figures again for the 130k a year. I don't think it's that bad. So wherever that report came from, nope, I'm calling bullshit. No, you can still easily live in Sydney without being in mortgage stress. But of course, that doesn't mean that leaves you enough left over to like save up for a deposit on a house, because here, basically, houses are now unaffordable. My kids will not be able to afford a house now here in Sydney. They simply won't be able to unless they're on some insanely high-paying job, and then they'll get taxed 45% for the privilege of it. It's ridiculous. So there you go. I hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. As always, discuss down below. Catch you next time.